Hello and welcome to the latest video from the Military Stage channel. After previously losing their first Challenger 2 tank, the Ukrainian armed forces finally made some modifications to the tank. The Ukrainian army has added protection to its British-made Challenger 2 tanks. The add-on armor on the lower front of the 69-ton four-person the Glacis clearly is meant to protect one of the tank's notorious weak spots from tandem warheads, like that on the Russian Army's Kornet anti-tank missile. The armor, which is visible in a video that appeared online last week, is pointless if a Kornet finds another weak spot. And that's exactly what apparently happened on or around September 4th, when the Russians bagged their first and so far only Ukrainian Challenger 2. The Challenger 2 is one of the world's better protected tanks. Its composite Dorchester armor gives it the equivalent of at least 1,400 millimeters of steel on the turret face. But British Army doctrine for decades asked its tankers to fight defensively while dug in. For that reason, British tank designers applied some of the thinnest protection to the Glacis, which would be underground when the tank is fighting from a revetment. It's not for no reason that, in the 30 years since the Challenger 2 entered service, the British Army has added bolt-on armor to the Glacis. Weirdly, the United Kingdom apparently didn't offer this Glacis armor to Ukraine. It's almost as if British officials expected the Ukrainians to use the Challenger 2 defensively. The problem for the Ukrainian 82nd Air Assault Brigade, the sole user of Ukraine's 14, now 13, Challenger 2s, is that it's fighting offensively. It's the lead brigade in a division-sized force attacking on the 50-mile axis from Robotyne to Melitopol in Russian-occupied southern Ukraine. So it makes sense that the Ukrainians improvised their own add-on Glacis armor. They knew their Challenger 2s would be advancing. In mid-August, the 82nd and adjacent brigades liberated Robotyne and then pivoted southeast to assault the next Russian strongpoint in Verbov. It seems the Challenger 2 struck a mine while shifting positions from outside Robotyne to outside Verbov. Immobilized by the mine strike, the Challenger 2 was an easy target. The crew bailed out, and not long after, a Russian Kornet anti-tank missile struck the idle, unoccupied tank. The 4-foot Kornet packs a 10-pound tandem warhead. Basically, the first warhead pinches a hole in a vehicle's outer armor. The second warhead explodes inside the vehicle. If the Kornet had struck the immobile tank on its Glacis, where the Ukrainians had reinforced the armor, the tank may have survived. Instead, it seems the missile's operators used the top attack function. The missile's tandem warhead exploded slightly above the Challenger 2's turret, where the armor also is thin and where there isn't any additive armor. The missile strike triggered a fire that apparently cooked off the Challenger 2's ammunition charges in their special containers. Filled with water, these containers are supposed to prevent catastrophic secondary explosions. In this case, they failed, and the resulting blast wrenched the Challenger 2's turret from its hull. It wasn't a meteoric turret toss, as often happens with Soviet-style tanks, which store their ammunition dry and under the turret. But it still was a kind of worst-case scenario for a Challenger 2. The Russians hit it twice in exactly the right spots, first striking the tracks with a mine and immobilizing the vehicle, then striking the turret top where the protection is minimal. So now the Russians know how to kill a Challenger 2, strand it, then plink it from above. The apparent first loss of a 69-ton, four-person Challenger 2 out of 14 that the United Kingdom pledged to the Ukrainian war effort back in January comes just days after the Ukrainian Defense Ministry highlighted the tank in a video interview with an 82nd Brigade trooper. The soldier praised the Challenger 2 for its long-range firepower and excellent protection compared to Soviet-style tanks. We still haven't seen footage of the 82nd Brigade's Challenger 2s firing their 120mm rifled guns in anger in Ukraine, but the Monday video of the burning Challenger 2 ironically does highlight the tank's survivability. That's because the burning Challenger 2's turret still is attached to its hull, mostly. One of the major weaknesses of a Soviet-designed T-72, T-80 or T-90 is that the three-person tanks, they have auto-loaders for their main guns instead of a fourth crewman who manually handles ammunition, stow their ammo in a ring underneath the turret. When a T-72 takes a direct hit and its ammo cooks off, the tank tends to explode like a firework. The turret and its occupants as often as not launch right off the hull. You're sent flying somewhere in the fields, the 82nd Brigade tanker, a former T-80 crewman, mused in his interview. You don't stand much of a chance. By contrast, the Challenger 2, like most Western tanks, stows its ammo in special compartments along the turret that explode outward, away from the crew when struck. Everything here is designed for the people, the tanker explained. We don't know what misfortune befell the Challenger 2 that burned on that road outside Robotine, but we do know the 82nd Brigade and its sister unit, the 46th Airmobile Brigade, steadily are advancing from liberated Robotine southeast toward Verbov. Their ultimate objective, Russian-occupied Melitopol, lies 50 miles to the south along the T-408/T-401 highway. According to the 82nd Brigade tanker, the Ukrainians prefer to use their 14, now 13 Challenger 2's long-range fire support, fully taking advantage of their excellent day-night optics, precise fire controls, and powerful main guns firing tungsten penetrators 2 miles out or farther. It's a machine designed to operate at a long distance. But when the battalions they're supporting are advancing, the tanks have no choice but to move out in order to keep up. Three months into Ukraine's counteroffensive, the Ukrainians have lost just 7 of their 105 Western-made tanks, 6 of 71 Leopard 2s, and 1 of 14 Challenger 2s. None of the 20 delivered Leopard 1A5s yet have been destroyed. And many more tanks are en route to Ukraine as the counteroffensive grinds on. 14 more Leopard 2s, 31 American-made M1s, and perhaps another 145 Leopard 1A5s. Well, that's our latest video in this episode. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Stay connected with us for more interesting and latest videos.